Tonight's video is a peaceful journey back into the wizarding world, long after Voldemort has been defeated. There are no battles, no danger, no jump scares, just calm magic, cozy common rooms, soft lantern light over the lake, and a Hogwarts that finally feels safe again. You'll experience this world as a student in the first truly peaceful school year. Slow train rides, quiet classes, gentle trips to Hogsmeade, and evenings where the only thing you have to worry about is falling asleep. So get comfortable, close your eyes, and let this soft, post-war wizarding world carry you off to sleep.
You notice it on the train. It's there, in the way people breathe. In the years before, the Hogwarts Express had always carried a certain tightness in the air. Nervous glances at the doors, conversations that started bright and then fell quiet. Laughter that sounded just a little too sharp, like it was trying to prove something. This time, it feels different. You sit by the window, your forehead resting lightly against the cool glass as the countryside slips past in long green stretches. The sky is a pale gray blue, with clouds drifting lazily instead of gathering in heavy, ominous clumps. Somewhere down the corridor, someone's playing Exploding Snap, and the muffled pops are followed by easy laughter instead of anxious shushing. In your compartment, the mood is gentle. Opposite you, a friend is lying on the seat with their feet propped up against the wall, a book open over their face. Another sits cross-legged, writing a long letter home that keeps meandering from topic to topic. The sweets trolley, the new timetable, what they think the sorting will be like for the first years this year. Every now and then, someone says something like, "Do you remember when?" and then stops. And you all know they're thinking of something from the war. A moment that once would have hung between you like a dark curtain. But now when it happens, the silence afterward is not as sharp. You simply sit with it. You let it pass. And then someone says, "Anyway, did you see the size of that owl at King's Cross?" And the conversation moves on. Not because you've forgotten, but because remembering no longer feels like drowning. You watch the landscape unfurl outside the window. Fields, hedgerows, small villages with chimneys sending up thin threads of smoke. It all looks ordinary. Comfortingly, stubbornly ordinary. At one point, a witch with the trolley slides open your compartment door. The familiar words spill out of her in a sing-song rhythm. "Anything from the trolley, dears?" You buy a chocolate frog and a pumpkin pasty, just because that's what you've always done. The chocolate frog card inside is someone you don't recognize. A witch who worked on a peace treaty many years ago, according to the tiny text. Reckon they'll put newer people on cards now? You know, from all that? Your friend wonders out loud. "Maybe," you say. But for once, the thought doesn't twist your insides. You imagine children one day opening chocolate frogs and getting cards of people who weren't famous for being terrifying or tragic, but for something like rebuilding, healing charms, new spells that help plants grow faster in places that were damaged, magical architects who specialized in restoring homes. The train begins to slow. You feel it in the way the wheels change their song against the tracks, in the way the chatter in the compartments shifts from meandering to expectant. You sit up properly, tuck your things back into your bag, and smooth your robe, fingers running over the familiar crest on your chest. Hogwarts. Soon, the moment the train pulls into Hogsmeade Station, the old excitement flutters in your chest.
an instinct from years of arrivals that not even the war could take away. You join the flow of students stepping down onto the platform. Cool evening air brushes your face, smelling faintly of mist and smoke. Lanterns swing gently in the breeze, their light casting soft halos on the old wooden planks. First years over here. Hagrid's voice booms across the platform, warm and solid and exactly as you remember it. You turn to look. There he is, towering above the crowd, his beard a bit bushier, his eyes a bit softer around the edges. He looks tired in the way adults do after they've been through something enormous, but his smile is bright and real when he sees the first years stumbling toward him. Don't you worry now. We'll get you all up to the castle. No trouble at all. The older students peel away from the group heading toward the boats and drift toward the carriages instead. You make your way to one of them, your hand brushing over the side. The thestrals are visible now, of course. They have been for some time. But tonight, when you look at them, something is different in the way you feel. You no longer flinch at the sight of them. You acknowledge the familiar dip of their skulls, the leathery wings folded neatly against bony sides, and the intelligent, reflective eyes that meet yours without fear. You reach out and stroke one gently along the neck. "Hello," you murmur. The thestral huffs softly, its breath warm against your palm. Once, the sight of them had been a reminder of things you wanted desperately not to think about. Now, they feel like companions, witnesses, creatures who have seen more than most and still carry on, pulling carriages through mist and twilight year after year. You climb inside, and the carriage gives a small lurch as it starts forward. The path up to the castle winds through soft darkness. Lanterns sway. Students talk in low voices, pointing ahead when the first glimpse of Hogwarts appears. Towers, battlements, and windows glowing with golden light against the deepening blue of the sky. It looks the same. It doesn't. The scaffolding is gone now. The broken walls have been rebuilt, stones laid back into place with care and magic. The great main doors stand open instead of forbidding. The steps leading up to them have been cleaned of the last traces of battle. But if you close your eyes for a moment, you can still feel the echo. You open your eyes again, on purpose. You see what's here now. Warm light, open doors, the low, steady hum of voices that belong to students who are thinking about timetables and dormitory assignments and what kind of pudding will be served tonight. You step down from the carriage. The castle looms above you, familiar and vast, a silhouette against the darkening sky. You tilt your head back and let yourself look at it for a long, slow moment, as if reintroducing yourself to an old friend. I'm back, you think. The castle seems to answer in the subtle creak of its stones and the gentle sway of its torches. So am I. You follow your housemates inside, through the entrance hole that smells faintly of stone dust and polish. The floor has been re-enchanted, so it no longer bears scorch marks. The suits of armor stand straight and tall, their helmets recently polished, a few of them humming to themselves in a metallic, echoing way. And then, the moment you've been waiting for, the Great Hall. Candles float overhead, their flames small and bright. The enchanted ceiling shows a sky full of stars already deep
and velvety, with a crescent moon hanging like a silver smile. Banners in your house colors hang from the rafters, rich and steady. You slip into your seat at your house table. The first years line up at the front, small and wide-eyed. Some of them look nervous, but it's the ordinary kind of nervous, the kind that comes from wondering where you'll sleep and who you'll sit with, not from fear of what might be lurking around the corner. Professor McGonagall stands at the podium. She looks the same, and yet gentler. Her bun is as severe as ever, and her tartan robes are immaculate, but there's a lightness about her that you don't remember seeing before. When she speaks, her voice carries clearly through the hall, firm and calm. "Welcome," she says. "To those who are returning, welcome. To those who are joining us for the first time, welcome home." The word home lands softly in your chest like a feather settling on the surface of water. You listen as she talks, not of danger or warnings, but of learning, of rebuilding traditions, of a new elective about magical reconstruction and community charms for those who are interested. There's a brief, quiet acknowledgement of the past, of what the school has endured, and then a gentle turn toward the future. "We will not forget," she says, "but we will live." The Sorting Hat sings a new song this year. It speaks of courage, yes, and bravery and cleverness and loyalty and ambition, the usual things. But it also speaks of patience, of kindness, of knowing when to reach across the table to someone who sat alone yesterday and ask if they'd like some pumpkin juice. When the first years are sorted and the cheers die down, the feast appears. Food fills the tables. Roasted chicken, potatoes, steamed vegetables, gravy, bread so fresh it's still warm, pies that smell of cinnamon and apples. You fill your plate and eat, listening to the gentle flow of conversation around you. You talk about classes and about which subjects you're looking forward to this year. You talk about Hogsmeade weekends. You talk in low voices about how strange it feels to be back without that constant thread of dread. You talk until your stomach is pleasantly heavy and your eyelids are starting to feel the weight of the day. Eventually, the plates clear themselves. The candles dim. You stand along with everyone else, following your house prefects back out of the hall, through corridors that murmur with portraits and echo faintly with footsteps. The climb to your common room feels longer than you remember, only because you're tired in that deep, pleasant way that comes after a full day of travel and feeling and thinking. Finally, you reach your dormitory. Your bed is there, waiting. 4 posters, familiar blankets, a trunk at the foot with your name on it. Someone's already drawn the curtains around their bed and is talking quietly to their owl perched on the footboard. You change into pajamas, slide between cool sheets, and pull the curtains halfway closed. The sounds of the room soften. The rustle of fabric, the creak of beds, the faint crackle of the common room fire through the door. You stare up at the canopy of your bed, tracing the grain of the wood with your eyes as your breathing slows. It is the first night back at Hogwarts, in a world that is healing. The castle is quiet. The world is wide. And sleep comes to you easily. You wake to golden light. For a moment, you don't remember where you are. You only feel the warmth of sunlight
across your face, the weight of blankets, the muffled, distant murmur of voices somewhere beyond your bed curtains. Then the smell reaches you, dust and parchment, a faint hint of toast drifting up from many floors below, and the particular, slightly damp scent of stone that has seen centuries of mornings. Hogwarts. You smile into your pillow before you even open your eyes. When you finally do, you blink at the soft glow of light filtering in at the edges of your curtains. Someone pulls theirs back with a faint rasp, and you hear a sleepy yawn, followed by the sound of feet hitting the floor. "Morning," comes a drowsy voice. "Morning," you reply. There's no rush, no frantic scrambling, no shouted reminders to check your trunk twice, no urgent whispered discussions about bad news from the prophet. You get dressed at a comfortable pace, tying your tie with fingers that don't fumble. Your uniform feels familiar and comforting. The weight of the robe over your shoulders, the smooth fabric of your house scarf looped loosely around your neck, just in case the corridors are drafty. When you step out into the common room, the fire is still burning low in the grate. A few early risers sit in armchairs, hunched over books or writing letters. One of them has a plate with the remains of toast balanced on the armrest, crumbs scattered like tiny stars. Outside the common room, the corridor is filled with the soft sounds of morning. Doors clicking, footsteps pattering, the murmur of conversations starting and stopping. You make your way down toward the great hall, the familiar route winding through staircases that this morning are mercifully cooperative. The castle seems in a good mood, or perhaps it's simply content. Sunlight slants in through the tall windows, dust motes dancing lazily in the beams. You pause by one just for a moment to look out. The grounds are bathed in pale morning light. The lake lies still and reflective, a mirror to the sky. The early mist from the forest has mostly burned away, leaving only a few wisps clinging to the trees like leftover dreams. You continue on. Breakfast is calm. The great hall is a gentle buzz of cutlery and conversation. Platters of scrambled eggs, toast, bacon, porridge, and fruit appear on the tables, steaming softly. Jugs of pumpkin juice and tea and coffee glint in the light. You take a seat and help yourself to toast and marmalade. The bread still slightly warm, the spread tangy and sweet. Across the table, someone is enthusiastically explaining their plans for the year. "I'm going to try out for the house team again," they say, waving their fork for emphasis. Now that things are, normal, proper practices, not just when there's time or when it's safe enough. "You say that like it wasn't safe last time," another student teases. "Well, safer," the first student amends, and everyone laughs softly. A few seats down, two younger students are reading their timetables with identical expressions of mild horror. "Double potions on a Tuesday," one groans. "At least it's in the morning. Imagine double potions right after dinner." You chat idly about your own schedule. There are some familiar classes: charms, transfiguration, herbology, and a few new offerings added for the post-war era. Magical communities and cooperation, healing charms for everyday use, history of recent events, with a note that the class will focus on reflection and understanding, not repeated trauma. After you've eaten your fill, the mail arrives.
Owls swoop in through the high windows, wings whispering softly through the air. Scrolls drop onto plates, letters land in laps, and a few owls decide to stay perched on the backs of chairs, accepting bits of toast crust as payment. Your own owl drops a letter neatly beside your cup, a short note from home. Just checking you arrived safely. Right when you can. We're so proud of you. You fold it carefully, tuck it into your pocket, and feel a small, peaceful warmth lodge itself in your chest. After breakfast, the first classes begin. You walk the corridor toward Transfiguration, your bag bouncing lightly against your hip, your wand tucked away in its usual place. The classroom smells of chalk and polished wood. Professor McGonagall stands at the front, looking exactly as formidable as always. But when the last student slips in and the door closes with a soft click, she surveys the room for a long moment, and something in her shoulders seems to soften. "So," she says, "this year, we will be treating Transfiguration as it was meant to be treated, not as a tool for battle, but as an art, a discipline, a way of seeing the world as changeable and full of possibility." Her eyes sweep the room, and for a beatheart, they rest on you. If you are here, it is because you came back, and that means more than most of you will know yet. The lesson is gentle. You review old spells, switching matches to needles, transforming desk ornaments, practicing simple object-to-object transfigurations, but the mood is unhurried. Mistakes are met with clean, efficient corrections, and the occasional dry remark that makes the class chuckle. "Missed a corner there," she says mildly, as someone's quill turns only halfway into a knitting needle. "Unless you intend to write and knit at the same time." Binning classes, corridors fill and empty like tides. You have charms next. Professor Flitwick is positively gleeful about the new syllabus. "We've spent years focusing on protective enchantments and counter curses. Important work, important work. But now we return to enchantments that make life nicer." He claps his small hands together. "This term we're starting with little charms for comfort. Self-warming blankets, draft-free windows, and quills that straighten your handwriting when you start to fall asleep over your essays." There are a few amused murmurs at that last one. "Very popular in exam season," he adds with a wink. You spend the lesson working on a charm that subtly warms fabric when the temperature drops, without scorching or overheating. By the end, your sleeve feels like it carries a tiny private bit of sunlight in the threads. As you hold your arm out, feeling the gentle heat, you realize how different this feels from the charms you were learning not so long ago. Fewer shields, more softness. Magic, you think, is allowed to be kind again. Lunchtime comes almost without you noticing. The hours slip by in a gentle rhythm, walking, learning, listening, trying. Mistakes are small and fixable. There are no looming catastrophes, no whispers in the corners. No creeping sense that something terrible is about to happen. You sit by a window at lunch, your plate full, and your mind pleasantly full too. From here, you can see the Quidditch pitch in the distance, a groundskeeper carefully repainting lines with a charm that leaves bright white marks on the grass. A group of younger students are arguing over the rules of wizard chess, gesturing wildly with pieces that try to wander off the board. This is what a school is meant to feel like, you decide. Not a fortress, a place of learning, of growing, of afternoons that stretch out ahead of you, not with dread, but with possibility. The afternoon passes in a blur of parchment and ink. Eventually, classes end for the day, and you find yourself standing on the castle steps, the cool air brushing your cheeks. The sky is turning that particular late afternoon shade that suggests there's still time before dinner. Time for something quiet, something gentle. You look toward the lake. You look toward the forest. When you breathe in, the air tastes of leaves and water and the faintest hint of smoke. You decide to walk. The path down to the lake is worn smooth by generations of students' feet. Grass brushes softly against your ankles as you make your way down the slope. The sun sits low in the sky now, casting long shadows from the towers behind you. The air is cool, but not biting. It smells of damp earth and something green and wild. You find your favorite spot near the shore, a flat stone half buried in the ground, just high enough to sit on without getting damp from the grass. When you sink down onto it, the stone's chill seeps through your robes, but it feels grounding in a way that makes you sigh, long and slow. The Black Lake isn't truly black today. The surface shivers with small ripples, catching the light and breaking it into slender streaks of silver and gray. Somewhere beneath, the giant squid drifts lazily, tentacles moving like slow thoughts. Other, stranger creatures live down there too, but they keep their distance, content with their own deep world. You sit there for a while, letting your thoughts drift the way the small waves do. Behind you, the castle hums with life. In front of you, the water rests. Eventually, you hear a familiar voice calling down from the path. "That you there?" You turn. Hagrid is making his way down the slope, his enormous boots sinking slightly into the earth with each step. His greatcoat is buttoned all the way up, though you're not sure if it's because he's cold or because it gives him something to do with his hands. "Thought I saw someone wandering down this way," he says as he approaches. "Nice evening for it." "It is," you say, and you mean it. He stops a few paces away, surveying the lake, the trees, the castle. His gaze is slow and careful, as if counting each thing and finding it exactly where it should be. "How's your first day back been, then?" he asks, settling down onto a nearby boulder that creaks under his weight but doesn't complain. "Quiet," you answer, in a good way. Hagrid's beard twitches.
"Yeah," he says softly. "Quiet's good. We could all do with a bit more quiet." For a time, you both just sit. You watch a line of geese fly across the sky in a loose, ragged V. Somewhere behind you, nearer the forest, there's the faint crackle of leaves and twigs as something small and curious rummages about. The water laps gently at the stones. Hagrid sounds like slow breathing. Creatures coming back to places they'd left. Took a while, but they're learning it's safe again. He glances at you. Same as us, really. Can we... You begin, then trail off, not entirely sure what you're asking for. A look at the forest? A closer view of this quieter world. Hagrid seems to understand. "Well," he says, rubbing his hands together, "I suppose I could show you a harmless critter or two, long as you don't mind walking slow. Ain't in a hurry tonight." You don't mind. You stand, dust off your robes, and follow him as he trundles toward the edge of the forbidden forest. The trees there are tall and dark, their branches woven together into an intricate tapestry overhead. The forest has always held a sense of danger, but tonight, standing with Hagrid at its outskirts, it also feels old, wise. Less like a threat, more like a very large, very sleepy creature that doesn't mind being observed, as long as you're respectful. "We won't go far in," Hagrid assures you. "Just enough to say hello." The ground under the trees is soft with layers of fallen leaves. They whisper under your feet as you walk. Hagrid's lantern casting a warm circle of light that dances over trunks and roots. He points out small things as you go. "See there," he says, nodding toward a cluster of pale, glowing mushrooms near a fallen log. "Mooncaps only grow in places where the magic settled after being disturbed. Means the forest is healing up nice." You crouch to look. The mushrooms give off a faint, silvery light, enough to make the nearby bark and leaves gleam softly. They look like pieces of moon that fell and decided to take root. Further along, there's the rustle of wings. A flock of tiny, luminous insects lifts from a patch of undergrowth, swirling around each other in an intricate dance. Hagrid tells you they're called star wings, harmless, drawn to peaceful places. "Wouldn't see 'em much couple of years ago," he says. "Too much tension in the air." The deeper you go, though still close enough to see the edge of the forest behind you, the more Hagrid's voice drops to a hush. Not out of fear, but out of respect. After a while, he stops abruptly and lifts a hand. "Listen," he whispers. You do. At first, all you hear is your own breathing and the faint creak of the trees in the breeze. Then, gradually, something else. The soft, rhythmic thump of hooves. The sound of leaves parting as something moves gracefully between them. In the distance, between two great trunks, you catch a glimpse of movement. A centaur, stepping through a shaft of moonlight, pausing for a moment to tilt his head back and study the sky that peeks through the branches. Hagrid doesn't call out. You don't either. You both simply watch, silent and still, as the centaur stands there, outlined in silver for a breathless moment, and then moves on, vanishing into the deeper shadows with no sign that he ever noticed you at all. "A lot of folk don't understand him," Hagrid says quietly after the sound of hooves fades. "But they're thinking, same as we are. Different way, different things, but they think about the future too." You feel something settle in your chest, like a stone placed gently in its proper place. Everyone is adjusting. Humans, centaurs, creatures, forests, lakes. The world itself is learning how to feel safe again. Eventually, you make your way back out of the trees, the castle lights growing brighter with each step, the edge of the forest giving way to open sky once more. Back by the water, the giant squid's tentacles break the surface for a moment, waving lazily. A pair of students sits on the grass a little way off, heads bent over a shared book, their voices low and unhurried. "Right then," Hagrid says, shifting his weight. "I'd best get back to me pumpkins. Got some real beauties this year. Biggest I've ever grown, I reckon." "I'll come see them," you promise. "You do that," he replies, eyes crinkling. "And don't stay out too late. Big day tomorrow. Plenty of learning to do." You watch him walk back toward his hut, the lantern swinging at his side. Then you turn back to the lake one last time, letting the quiet soak into you. When you finally head up to the castle for dinner, you feel calmer than you can remember feeling in a long time. The evening passes in a gentle blur of food and friendly chatter. Homework is assigned, but it doesn't feel heavy yet. Plans are made. Who's going to the library? Who's heading back to the common room? Who's sneaking to the kitchens for a late-night snack? By the time you crawl into bed that night, your muscles are pleasantly tired from walking, your mind full of moon caps and star wings and the soft thud of distant hooves. You sleep deeply, the kind of sleep that only comes after a day that asked for your attention but not your fear. The first Hogsmeade weekend arrives on a Saturday, bathed in pale sunlight. You wake to the particular buzz that always heralds a visit to the village. Voices in the dormitory a little higher and quicker, the rustle of clothes as people look for scarves and gloves, the faint clink of coins being counted out carefully. By the time you make it down to breakfast, the Great Hall is alive with anticipation. Are you going to Honeyduke's? I heard Zonko's has new joke wands. Madame Puttyfoot's is doing some kind of autumn special, probably pumpkins with hearts on them. You eat quickly, laughter and chatter swirling around you like a friendly storm, and then join the queue of students just inside the front doors, cloaks fastened and permission slips clutched in hand. Outside, the air is crisp, but not harsh. You can see your breath puff in front of you as you walk down the road toward Hogsmeade. The trees along the path are just beginning to turn, hints of orange and yellow hiding among the green. The village ahead looks like something out of a storybook. Chimneys smoking, rooftops clustered close together, windows glinting. As you cross the boundary, something loosens inside you. There was a time when the village held as many dangers as comforts, when every visit was watched with wary eyes, when shadows seemed a little too dark and quiet corners made your heart race. Today, Hogsmeade feels uncomplicated. The streets are busy but not chaotic. Students wander in groups, their voices overlapping in bright patches of sound. Villagers stand outside shop doors, chatting, their expressions easy. A witch in a deep purple cloak walks her dog, which wears an absurd little knitted hat with ear holes. You make your way to Honeyduke's first. Inside, the air is warm and thick with sugar. Shelves groan under the weight of sweets. Chocolate frogs, sugar quills, licorice wands, boxes of Bertie Bott's every flavor beans stacked in precarious towers. The shop is crowded with students, but no one is pushing or shouting. People squeeze past each other with muttered apologies and smiles. You find yourself drawn to a new display near the back. Small boxes labeled Comfort Caramels. The sign claims they taste of whatever makes you feel safest. Curious, you buy one and unwrap it as you step back out onto the street. The caramel is soft and slow to melt. As it spreads across your tongue, it tastes like a very specific memory. Sitting by the common room fire on a rainy evening, a book on your lap, the sound of distant thunder, and the certainty that you have nowhere else you need to be. You swallow, surprised and a little amused at how accurate it is. From Honeydukes, you wander. You pass Zonko's and poke your head in long enough to see shelves full of joke products that are firmly labeled as non-harmful, legally approved mischief only. Someone sets off a box of fireworks that turn into floating rubber ducks. They quack lazily and then vanish in puffs of glitter. You consider visiting Madame Puttyfoot's, but the windows are so fogged up with steam and the silhouettes inside so close and intent that you decide to leave it for another day. Eventually, you end up at the Three Broomsticks. Inside, the atmosphere is cozy and relaxed. The air smells of butterbeer and stew and polished wood. A few tables are filled with villagers nursing cups of tea, papers spread out in front of them. Students cluster at others, laughing over shared plates of chips. You order a butterbeer and find a seat by the window. The mug is warm in your hands, the foam tickling your upper lip as you take a sip. Outside, the village moves at a gentle pace. A group of third years huddle over a shared bag of sweets. Two elderly witches share a bench, passing a knitting project back and forth, each adding a few rows before returning it. At the table next to you, a quiet conversation drifts over. Did you hear? They're rebuilding a wing at St. Mungo's for long-term rest, not just injuries, for, brains and hearts. About time, their friend replies softly. You don't listen for details. You don't need them.
It's enough to know that while you sit here in a warm pub, sipping a drink that tastes like autumn and nostalgia, somewhere, people are putting the world back together in small, specific ways. Later, you stroll further toward the edge of the village, where the houses thin out and the view opens up to rolling hills. There's a bench there, not much to look at, a simple wooden thing with a small plaque that says only, "For all the journeys that bring us safely home." You sit. The sky overhead is a soft, washed-out blue, streaked with thin clouds. You close your eyes and listen. You hear the faint murmur of the village behind you, clinking cups, distant laughter, a door opening and closing. You hear the rustle of the wind over the hills. You hear your own breathing, slow and even. At some point, a small flock of birds passes overhead, their wings beating rhythmically. You imagine all the invisible threads connecting this place to others. The road back to Hogwarts, the flu networks leading to Diagon Alley, to the ministry, to homes where parents are reading the prophet with less fear in their hands. Hogsmeade is a small place, but sitting here, you feel like you're at a quiet crossroads of something much larger. A world learning to live gently with itself. When you finally walk back to the castle in the late afternoon, the sky blushing pink at the edges, you feel pleasantly tired. Your bag is heavier with sweets and a couple of small purchases, a new quill, a tiny enchanted keychain that glows faintly in the dark. Your heart, though, feels lighter. That night, in the common room, you sit with friends, legs tucked up under you on a squashy armchair. You share your comfort caramels. One by one, people describe what theirs tastes like. "My Grand's kitchen," someone says. "The smell of broom polish before a match," another adds. "Warm sand by the sea," says a third. When it's your turn, you hesitate only for a moment before saying, "The sound of the train when you know you're on your way somewhere safe." No one laughs. They just nod. You go to bed with sugar on your tongue and the village's quiet still lingering in your mind. In addition to your usual subjects, this year you attend a new class, History of Recent Events. It meets twice a week in a room off of one of the quieter corridors, a little smaller than most classrooms, with wide windows that let in a great deal of light. Instead of rows of desks, There are circular tables. On the walls, there are maps, timelines, and blank spaces waiting to be filled. The first time you walk in, there's a moment of nervousness in the air. Everyone knows what recent events means. Everyone carries their own version. The professor, a witch with gentle eyes and a quill always tucked behind her ear, waits until you've all taken your seats before she speaks. Some of you, she says, may be wondering why we would ask you to revisit times you might rather forget. That is not our goal here. This is not a class about reopening wounds. It is a class about understanding scars. She waves her wand and words appear on the board in neat, flowing script. What happened, why it happened, how we choose to live after it. We will talk about events, she continues. We will talk about choices and laws and movements and mistakes. We will talk about the roles that power and fear played. But we will also talk about rebuilding, about apologies accepted and apologies still owed, about how the future can be better because you are here to shape it. She pauses. You may pass on any question directed at you personally. You may step outside if you need to. You may write instead of speak some days. What you may not do is pretend that nothing happened. You deserve better than that. The lessons are different. Sometimes you study articles from the Daily Prophet and look at how headlines were written, which words were chosen, which were avoided. You circle phrases that carried fear and discuss how to recognize them next time. Sometimes you read transcripts from the Wizengaunt, looking at laws passed in haste, at policies changed later. You talk about what justice can look like when everyone is tired and hurting. Sometimes you talk in small groups about how it felt to be a student during those years. The professor never pushes. If you want to talk, you do. If you don't, you listen. One day, she brings in a guest, a healer from St. Mungo's who specializes in what she calls the long-term effects of difficult times. We heal more than bones and skin. We heal habits, reactions, the part of you that jumps every time a door slams, the part that assumes bad news whenever an owl arrives in the middle of the day. There are soft nods around the room. You are not broken. You are adjusting, and you are allowed to adjust slowly. At the end of that class, as everyone gathers their things, the professor smiles a little sadly and says, "You are the first Hogwarts students in a long time who get to decide what normal looks like for the wizarding world. Don't let it be defined only by what came before." You carry that thought with you as you move through your days. You see it reflected in small changes. A Slytherin and a Hufflepuff working together in potions, heads bent over a cauldron, arguing about the best way to neutralize an overboiled mixture. A Ravenclaw and a Gryffindor sharing a table in the library, swapping notes on arithmetic and ancient runes. Older students quietly guiding younger ones through their first experiences of a world that is calmer but still new. Sometimes you still feel a familiar tightening in your chest when certain topics arise. Sometimes a particular sound, a distant bang, a shout down a corridor, makes your heart race before your brain catches up. But little by little, day by day, those moments become less sharp. They become one thread among many in the tapestry of your life. One weekend, a small group of older students is invited to visit the ministry as part of the class. You step into the atrium and feel echoes stir in your memory, but the space before you is not the same one you remember. The fountain now flows around statues representing all magical beings, equal in height and care. The posters on the walls speak not of registration and enforcement, but of community programs, new educational initiatives, and support for those rebuilding. You sit in on a session where ministry witches and wizards discuss new laws designed to prevent abuses of power. You listen to people who once made mistakes talk openly about them. It is strange. It is hopeful.
On the way back to Hogwarts, traveling by flue and then carriage, you stare out at the countryside and realize that the world feels bigger now than it did during the war. Not because it has grown, but because it is no longer as divided into safe and unsafe, known and unknown. It is, once again, a place you can travel through and be curious about instead of merely surviving in. That night, back in your dormitory, you write in your notebook before bed. You do not write about the worst things, you write about the new things, the fountain, the healer's words, the idea that you get to help define normal. When you put the notebook away and lie down, your thoughts feel organized somehow. Not solved, not erased, just put in their proper places, leaving room for other thoughts, gentler ones, to drift through. As autumn deepens, Hogwarts decides to start a new tradition. It's a small idea at first. Someone suggests a night of lanterns, an evening where the whole school gathers, not for an urgent announcement or a feast tied to survival, but just to mark the passing of time. To remember, yes, but also to look forward. The staff agrees. On the chosen evening, the entire castle seems to hum with quiet anticipation. At dinner, the Great Hall is lit only by candles and floating lanterns, hundreds of them, bobbing gently under the enchanted ceiling. Each one is softly enchanted to glow in a color that changes with the mood of whoever holds it. After the meal, students and staff are invited out onto the grounds. You receive your lantern at the door. When you hold it, the light inside shifts slowly from a tentative blue to a warm, steady gold. Outside, the night is crisp and clear. The sky overhead is full of stars, the moon a bright, watchful curve. The grounds are dotted with small moving points of light as everyone walks, their lanterns swaying. There is no speech, no ceremony, just quiet. You find yourself walking toward the lake again. The surface reflects the sky and the lanterns, making it look as if the water is full of stars above and below. The forest stands watchful and calm at the edge, the castle behind you glowing gently in the night. You stand there, your lantern cradled in your hands, and listen. People murmur, some laugh softly, a few sniffle. Some stand alone, some in pairs, some in groups. You think of everyone who has stood on these grounds over the centuries. Students who lived through quiet years, students who did not, teachers who guided, friends who were lost, creatures who watched from the forest, the lake holding its secrets, the castle absorbing it all, year after year, never forgetting, never stopping. You hold your lantern a little higher. For a long time, you say nothing. You simply feel. The chill of the air on your face, the warmth of the lantern in your hands, the steady pump of your heart in your chest. Eventually, almost shyly, you whisper a few words into the night. They are not grand. They are not a spell. They are just a quiet promise you make to yourself. To live well in this world that survived. To study things that build instead of break. To be kind more often than not. To notice peaceful moments when they happen, instead of only danger. The lantern in your hands glows a little brighter. All around the lake, other lanterns pulse softly, each one carrying its own quiet intention. After a while, someone starts a song. Not a school song, not a battle song, an old wizarding lullaby, the kind sung to children who are afraid of thunderstorms. Voices pick it up here and there, imperfect and soft. The melody drifts across the water, up to the stars, and back down again. You hum along. When the song ends, people begin to drift back toward the castle in small streams of light. The lanterns are floated into the lake, one by one, where they bob gently on the surface, their colors slowly dimming as the night deepens. You climb the hill back to Hogwarts with that image in your mind. A lake full of small, glowing intentions, each one a tiny promise that the future will be gentler than the past. Inside, the castle is warm.
You head to your common room where the lanternless light feels strangely cozy after the soft glow outside. Your housemates are quieter than usual, but it's a comfortable quiet, filled with shared understanding. In your dormitory, you change into pajamas and slide into bed. The sheets are cool, the pillow familiar. Around you, Greater Hogwarts settles for the night. The portraits mumble their last remarks before dozing off. The ghosts drift more slowly through corridors, their edges blurring as if even they are ready to rest. In the owlery, the owls tuck their heads under their wings. Down in Hogsmeade, shop doors are locked, windows darken, and cats curl up on hearthrugs. In the Ministry, late-burning candles are snuffed out, papers are stacked neatly. The new fountain continues to murmur, its water never sleeping, its message never shouted, but always there. In the Burrow, someone blows out a candle, and the old clock's hands rest mostly on home. The world is not perfect, it never will be, but tonight it is at peace. And you, one student in one bed, in one castle on one hill, get to close your eyes in a world that is learning to be kind again. Your breathing slows, your thoughts grow softer, settling into the quiet spaces your teachers and friends and the castle itself have helped make for them. You think, just before sleep takes you, that this is what all the fighting was for. Not glory, not stories, just this. A safe bed, a gentle night, a tomorrow to wake up to. Your last waking sensation is of Hogwarts itself around you. The walls, the towers, the floors, the paintings, holding you like a great old patient guardian. Outside, the stars wheel slowly overhead. Inside, the wizarding world dreams, and so do you.